Welcome to the Healthy Leader Podcast, where we explore mindset, habits, and self-leadership so that you can lead a healthy and fulfilling life while also leading others better. Hello there. I hope that you are creating an amazingly healthy day today. I am so glad that you are here. And I want you to know that I am right here with you. I'm not ahead of you. I am definitely not looking back at you from some finished place. I am right here, right now, doing this work right alongside you. And one of the things that I have been working on myself and have been having a lot of conversations with people about lately is something that high achievers don't really like to admit. And that is this. There is something you know you need to do, and you're not doing it. You know it's important, yet you keep putting it off. You're slow to action. You kind of just keep cycling around it, but you're not getting it done. And it just sits there like this little black cloud that follows you around. The it for you and for me could be something relatively small or something that carries more weight. It could be a healthy habit that you keep meaning to start, an unhealthy habit you keep meaning to stop. It could be a conversation that you want to have with a colleague or a loved one. Perhaps you've got a project that you know is going to save you time. It's going to be meaningful and of service to other people, but you just keep pushing it to the next week or to the next quarter. And this is especially frustrating for high achieving people who are used to figuring things out. People who set goals, they work hard, and they deliver successfully in many areas of their life. And yet this one thing keeps getting pushed to the side, and then it keeps popping back up. And so we're going to talk about that today. And before we dive in, I want to be clear about something. I'm not talking about a strategic decision you have made to tackle something at a later date when the timing is right. That's intentional. It's being decisive. That's smart leadership. I'm talking about the habit, the decision, or the situation that you know is stealing your energy and that you know you need to do something about. So today we're going to talk about how to break that cycle, how to stop thinking about the potential of it and actually get some traction, some movement to figure out how you can basically go from potential to kinetic energy and to do that consistently. So I want to acknowledge that this space of inaction is a tough place to be. And there are very real reasons why it feels hard to get momentum. Maybe you've already tried multiple techniques and they didn't work for you. Maybe you have made some real progress and then life sidetracked you and now starting over feels overwhelming or exhausting. Maybe you genuinely think that you do not have time. I just was speaking with someone who is in the dental field, and they admitted to me a bit sheepishly that their morning was so packed that they didn't have time to brush their teeth. Now, it may sound a little bit silly, and they were kind of being sheepish and joking and embarrassed, but it's not a great place to be when you feel like your time isn't your own and you can't do the things that you really want to do. Another example is I was just working with a healthcare professional recently, and this is someone who genuinely cares about health, and they are passionate about the health of their patients and the health of their coworkers and their colleagues and their family. And they know and teach and research about nutrition and different types of healthy habits. And this person was not doing any of them. And they felt exhausted, overwhelmed, depleted, like an imposter. And they were really down on themselves because they quote unquote knew better. And I share this story with you because very often with the leaders that I work with, that's a common phenomenon, a common feeling like I should know better. I should have control over this. And I don't. I know what to do, but I can't get myself to do it, or I can't get myself to do it consistently. What is wrong with me? So that gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it, that is the gap that we're trying to close. And very often when leaders think about closing that gap, they often think that they need to go from 0 to 100. The whole routine has to be planned out. The whole system has to be in place. It has to look a certain way. It has to be A+ work all of the time and organized in a precise way. But that's not actually what creates consistent movement. To begin closing the gap, first, what we need to do is to go from 0, doing nothing, to 1, to doing something, from potential energy to kinetic energy. So I want to give you a specific formula, if you will, that you can tailor to your situation starting today and start creating real traction. even if your schedule is maxed, even if you are feeling a bit depleted, even if you've tried to tackle this problem before. So to start off and give you a bit of context, I want to tell you about something that happened just this morning. So every day when I wake up, I have a routine that I go through with a little bit of meditation and prayer, and then I head down to my basement to do my workout. And this year I made a decision. I have been watching videos of people in their 80s and in their 90s who are working out, running marathons, still moving, still strong, and showing up for themselves. And as I witnessed them, I thought, I want to be like that too. So I decided that I'm going to push myself a little bit further this year and set some new fitness goals. And one of them, the one that has been humbling me consistently, is pull-ups. Now, I cannot do a pull-up. I have never been able to do a pull-up, and I have been working on it all year long. And I noticed probably a week or so ago that I was starting to think that I'm not really making the progress that I quote unquote should be making at this point. And so I was a little grumpy as I was heading to my workout. And it didn't help that a few days ago, I mentioned to somebody that I was working on pull-ups, and they were like, wait, Tracy, you can't do a pull-up? Really? Not even one pull-up? And I was like, no, I cannot do a pull-up. So maybe this morning I had that in the back of my mind. But as I am doing these specific exercises that I have organized around being able to do a pull-up, I noticed something. I noticed that I was kind of grunting a little bit. I was really locked in on how hard this particular exercise was. I was thinking about the effort and the weight and how much I was struggling. And every single rep felt difficult. It felt like a battle. It was not enjoyable. I was making myself do it. And frankly, I was making it way harder than it needed to be. And one of the things that I do during my workouts is track my perceived exertion. So I write down how difficult something felt internally as a percentage so that I can see how hard I've been working. So if I come to complete failure, that would be 100%. So as I was writing down my numbers, I saw all of these 100s and I started questioning them. I thought, wait a second, was it really that hard? What if I just decided right now that it actually wasn't that hard? What if I actually am stronger and have made more progress than I give myself credit for? So with that mindset, on the next set, I tried something different. I kind of like pulled my shoulders back and, put on this, what I can only describe as like my military face, where I was stoic and steady. I took the negative look off my face and decided to just inhabit that person who was really strong and capable and unfazed by this weight. And in that set, I was able to do not 3, not 4, but 5 more reps to true failure, to true 100% perceived exertion. Same weight, same body, totally different mindset. And here is what got me. It wasn't just that I did more reps, which was great. It was that I felt different when I was doing them. The first set was drudgery. The second set was still hard, but the person doing it had shifted. I was showing up differently inside the exact same exercise. And I share that with you because as I was walking up those stairs, I was thinking, okay, this is the kind of moment that I want to capture and share with other people, because I recognized that I did a mindset shift mid-set, and I recognized that that is self-leadership. And believe me, it doesn't always happen for me. I had spent days in my workouts before that, grinding through them, making them harder than they needed to be, and thinking about whether I really wanted to do a pull-up or not this year. But in that one moment this morning, I chose differently. And those moments, and they are moments, when they happen, that is where we change. That is where we transform. So That's not a fitness story. That is a self-leadership story. And the gym is a great place to practice this. There is something very powerful about using a physical challenge to test and strengthen your mental and emotional self. But it doesn't have to be a physical challenge. You get to experience these opportunities to shift in a variety of environments. And you can practice the same shift in whatever it is that you are working on. And it's not just about choosing to do the thing, but it's also about how you show up while you're doing it. That shift is available to you too. So the question is, what's actually happening in these moments? And at The Healthy Leader, we talk about these moments in terms of our energy. For an individual, we're talking about mental, emotional, and physical energy, how we're thinking, feeling, and behaving, or what choices we're making as our foundation. Today, we're going to focus on the exact moment an idea actually becomes movement. And to explain that, I want to go back to Mr. Collins' physics class for just a minute. Mr. Collins was this amazing teacher that I had as I believe I was a junior in high school, and I never thought that I would use what he taught me, but here it is, Mr. Collins. At the most basic level, energy is either stored or it is in motion. It is either potential energy or kinetic energy. So potential energy is stored energy. It is energy that exists, but isn't moving yet. So think about a boulder sitting at the top of a hill. It's not going anywhere, but the potential, the possibility of movement is absolutely there. Or if you think about a diving board, you're standing at the end of it. You haven't jumped yet, but everything that's about to happen is already loaded in that moment, pressed and ready. And then you jump, then you release. That compression, that moment right before the jump, that is potential energy becoming kinetic energy. So that kinetic energy is energy in motion. It is the boulder rolling. It's the diver in the air. It's the moment the potential becomes actual. Now, here's why this matters. You have potential energy all around your life right now. The conversation that you know that you need to have, that's potential energy. The healthy habit you keep meaning to start, potential energy. The project sitting in your draft folder, potential energy. The version of yourself that you can clearly picture, potential energy. And the kinetic energy, that's the step you take after you've shut off your alarm. It's when you have opened the file on your folder and started working on that project or that document. It's you saying, we need to have a conversation, let's schedule it. It's you reaching for the water bottle instead of the wine. And these moments are really important. They are the doorway into you leading a healthy life. And we're slowing the time down here because that moment, that first step, that first shift is the moment of leadership, right? That is gold. It's where everything happens. And what's going on in these moments is potentially a struggle between your lower brain and your upper brain. That lower brain is fast and efficient. It's comfort seeking. It loves familiarity. It loves shortcuts. Its entire job is to conserve energy and to keep you safe, to keep you alive. And so when it senses effort or discomfort or something unfamiliar, it starts talking to you. You tried this before and it didn't work. This is too hard. You can start on Monday. You didn't know that this other thing was going to pop up. You can also do this later. You don't have to do it right now. Very convincing. And then you have your upper brain. This is the part that's pausing. It can evaluate its executive functioning and it says, I hear you. I hear the reasons why you don't want to do this. I see your discomfort and we're going to do it anyway. We are going to make a choice that's in alignment with who you said you were going to be. And here's what's really powerful. Every single time we choose the harder right over the easier wrong, every time that we choose to override that lower brain pull towards comfort, we are literally strengthening the circuitry of self-regulation in our brains. That is neuroplasticity. That is what I call going to the mental gym. And with every rep that you practice, you are solidifying that muscle within your brain. You're solidifying your identity. You're not just doing a hard thing. You are becoming someone who does hard things. And that identity gets wired in rep by rep and choice by choice. And here's why this matters beyond your workout or your morning routine. When you practice choosing your harder right over your easier wrong in those small moments with the project, the alarm, the water bottle, You are building the exact same muscle you need when the stakes are higher, when someone's job is on the line, when real money is at stake, when a patient's life depends on a clear-headed decision. So whether it's the alarm, the document, or the boardroom decision that keeps you up at night, all of these are micro moments. It's a split second where you decide who you're going to be and what you're going to choose to do. And that's what we're talking about today and what we're training for. So of course, that begs the question, how do we train for these moments? How do we train ourselves to choose our kinetic energy when our brain is telling us to stay in potential, to stay in the comfort zone? So I want to talk you through those moments and slow them down even more and talk about 3 distinct choice points in those moments. And the first one really isn't even in that moment. And that is the choice point of deciding ahead of time, right? This happens before the moment arrives. And that means that you get to decide in advance what it is that you are going to do to level up. And we decide ahead of time on purpose because in the moment, your lower brain is going to have a lot of opinions about who you should be and what you should do and how you can put off leveling up. So if you decide ahead of time how you are going to show up, then when the moment arises, you know exactly what it is that you're supposed to do. And it's interesting because I was just reading about Nick Saban. He coached the Alabama Crimson Tide for 17 seasons, and he became the most winning coach in college football history. He had 7 national championships, an almost incomprehensible record of sustained excellence over decades. And when people asked him what the secret was, how do you build a program that wins at that level year after year with different players, different staff, different opponents, his answer was surprisingly simple. He called it the process. And he took every single one of his players and his staff through this. And he said, do not think about winning the SEC championship. Do not think about winning the national title. Do not even think about the score on the scoreboard right now. Just focus on what you need to do on this play, this one play, the one that is right in front of you. And his players were not allowed to even talk about championships. They weren't allowed to look ahead because Saban understood something deeply true about how the brain works under pressure. When you focus on the magnitude of the outcome, you leave the present moment. And when you leave the present moment, your performance suffers. So for you in your first choice, it is just to decide what the next right action is. And it could be connected to a project or something that is larger than life and really meaningful to you, or it could be something very simple so that you're just choosing to practice overcoming discomfort. It could be 30 seconds of cold water at the end of your shower. It could be 5 minutes of putting your phone down and actually looking someone you love in the eyes while they're talking. Maybe it's 15 minutes of genuinely uninterrupted focus time if you're someone who goes into back-to-back meetings with no space to breathe. Maybe it is that conversation that you've been putting off, or the document that you keep opening and then closing, or the morning routine you keep meaning to start. Just pick one, just one, and decide ahead of time. So as a little hint here, when you're choosing your one thing, just think about 3 key aspects for your choice and make it extremely simple. I call them the 3 Qs, as in the letter Q: quality, quantity, and frequency. So in terms of quality, decide what is it exactly that you're going to do. Not, I'm going to be more present, but be specific. 2 minutes of focused breathing. That's quality. Quantity, this is about how much time. How long are you going to spend doing this activity? Is it 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes? It doesn't matter. Just set a specific time and be intentional about it. And then frequency is how often are you going to do it? So not just in the mornings in general, but specifically, I'm going to do this 5 days per week, or I'm going to do it once a week, or I'm going to do it once a month. And if you attach it to something that already happens in your day, very often that makes it a little bit easier. So the more specific you are, the less space your lower brain has to negotiate. So that's choice number 1. Choice 2 is to put on your game face or put on your grace face. And here's what I mean by that. You've decided what you're going to do, and now the moment has arrived. There is no negotiation. The decision was already made. It was made in the calm and the clear when you were thinking straight. So when the alarm goes off, you've already decided. When you sit down at your laptop, you've already decided. When your hand starts to move towards the wine, you switch it to the water bottle because you have already decided. So the what is done. Know that in your bones. The conversation is over. You are not negotiating. And at this point, I want to introduce something called swat the thought, as in swat away the thought. I want you to imagine maybe a fly swatter. And as soon as you begin to hear some negotiation or conversation about what it is that you could be doing instead, swat it away. Do not bring it into your consciousness. Don't start playing with it. Just literally do not engage it. It has already been decided. What is happening now is you've got your game face on. You are not grunting through it. You're not frowning and grinding and making it hard like I was this morning, but you are stepping into it as the person you are becoming. Steady, grounded, aligned, strong, in control. That is grace. You're not pretending it's easy. You're not white knuckling it. You're moving through it in alignment with who you want to be. And here's what I really want you to hear. You can re-choose this midstream, just like I did mid-set this morning. You don't have to catch it before you start. You can notice after you've drifted and come back. That's re-choice right in the middle of it. And I would say that's not just as powerful. I would say that's more powerful because you're interrupting an old brain pattern and choosing to lead in a different way in the moment. That is neuroplasticity. So that's choice number 2. Put on your game face, put on your grace face. And then when you're done, the third choice is to celebrate. Now, I don't want you to skip this one. Many of us finish something hard and then we're like immediately moving on to the next thing. We have like checked the box and we're like, all right, let's keep going. And in doing that, we've also trained our brain to kind of feel nothing when we follow through on our commitments to ourselves. And what the science tells us is that when you pause and acknowledge what you just did, even for just a few seconds, your brain is releasing dopamine. And dopamine is that neurotransmitter of motivation and pleasure and focus. It's your brain's way of saying, that mattered. Let's do that again. And it encodes the behavior as meaningful. And that makes it easier to do the next time. If you just move on, you're going to lose that signal entirely. So what does celebrating look like? It could be just raising your hands above your head. Like imagine you're running across a finish line of a race, like, woohoo, I did it. And say out loud, I did. That's what I did this morning. I was like, yes. Say it out loud or just in your head, like that is who I am. I am in alignment with who I know that I am. That's one way you could do it. Or you could tell somebody. You could call your mom or your best friend or somebody who's leveling up with you and say, guess what I just did? I'm really proud of myself, and share it. Even if you don't have time to make that call, maybe you just imagine making that call. Imagine their face lighting up for you. It's just 3 seconds, right? That's all it takes. So celebrate, pat yourself on the back, jump up and down, do whatever it is. Look at yourself in the mirror and be like, that's it. You did it. You're the best. I know it sounds a little hokey, but it matters. And here's what I want you to hold on to. You wouldn't have this pull toward growth if it wasn't already in you. The desire to do better, to show up better, to be better, that is not some external pressure trying to change you. That is you. That is the most true version of you asking to come forward. And when you celebrate that, you're not being arrogant. You are acknowledging yourself. You're strengthening your relationship with yourself. So every rep, every choice, every time you press down on that board and jump, you are wiring in the identity of someone who shows up for themselves. You are wiring the identity of who you are through your actions. And that is no small thing. That is really everything. It's you living in alignment with who you really are. So make sure that you celebrate every chance that you get. All right, so there you have it. One mini formula to start playing with today. Make a decision about how you can move yourself forward. 0 to 1. You don't need to go 0 to 100, just 0 to 1. Choose one small action and then do it. Show up with your game face and your grace face. And then for sure, take the time to recognize your work. Throw a little confetti your way. Give your heart a moment to smile. The ability to shift from potential to kinetic energy is a massive skill, and it's one that you can train. And I am training right alongside you. Remember that self-leadership and leadership is not one big dramatic moment. It's a series of these small choices in that space between potential and kinetic. So go forth today, enjoy your moments, and remember that you have a choice in every single one of them. Thanks for being here, and know that I am right alongside you. Hey there. If you are ready to level up in how you lead yourself and how you lead others, come visit us at thehealthyleadergroup.com and see what's new at the intersection of your health and well-being and your leadership.